When you look up at the night sky, it's easy to imagine the universe as a massive, even scattering of stars and galaxies, a uniform spread of light continuing forever in every direction. But zoom out far enough, and the illusion breaks down. The cosmos morphs into a vast cosmic web. Matter clusters into massive glowing filaments and dense knots. Sitting between them are unfathomably large bubbles of empty space, completely devoid of matter. The scale of these gaps is hard to comprehend. Right on the edge of our own galactic neighborhood sits the local void. It's an empty pocket of absolute darkness that stretches nearly 200 million light-years across. We spend all of our time looking at the light, but these enormous, terrifyingly empty spaces comprise the vast majority of our universe. The matter out there isn't sitting still. Galaxies streak through space at millions of miles per hour, locked on chaotic collision courses with one another. Yet, despite moving at breakneck speeds, they rarely ever shoot out into the dark. Instead of crossing the empty gaps, galaxies seem to stick entirely to the outer edges. They cluster along the rims of the darkness, acting like reflections of light trapped on the surface of a soap bubble. Given their speed and the chaos of their orbits, it should be easy for a galaxy to fly into a void. Why is it so difficult for matter to naturally cross that boundary? It turns out, something invisible and incredibly powerful is manipulating the movement of matter right at the edge of the dark. The answer comes down to the first fundamental force controlling this cosmic mechanism: gravity. On a universal scale, gravity operates on a very simple rule. Everything with mass relentlessly attracts everything else with mass. This diagram shows how gravity affects the cosmic web. Immense pull comes from dense galaxy walls outside, with zero pull from the empty inside. It's a rigged tug-of-war. Packed edges constantly pull matter out, while the center cannot pull anything back. This creates an inescapable feedback loop. The galaxy walls get perpetually denser and brighter, while the voids are forced to become even darker and emptier over time. Deep in the center, rare outliers called void galaxies manage to survive. Because they are isolated from the gravitational tugs of neighbors, they never experience the violent collisions that trigger rapid starbursts. Without that chaos, they evolve in slow motion, birthing stars much more calmly than galaxies in the web. But if you move past these lonely outposts and into the deepest part of the void, gravity's influence effectively drops to zero. And that is where the second, much more mysterious force in our cosmic tug-of-war takes over: dark energy. Because there is almost zero mass inside a void to counteract it with gravity, dark energy's true power is unleashed. As we see here, it acts as a relentless outward pressure, actively pushing against the boundary of galaxies. These voids function as active, expanding engines, where the most destructive force in the universe operates completely unchecked. And this tug-of-war between gravity and dark energy is not a stalemate. Dark energy is winning. Dark energy accelerates the overall expansion of the universe. As a result, these void bubbles are growing larger, inflating at an ever-increasing rate. As the voids encroach on one another, the beautiful, dense walls containing thousands of galaxies are forcibly stretched out and thinned. It triggers a violent cascade. Empty spaces merge into giant supervoids, systematically breaking down the architecture of the cosmos. This expanding nothingness actively dismantles the foundational structure of the universe. If we jump forward in time to the deep, far future of the cosmos, long after the cosmic web has been irreparably shattered, we see the end of the story. In the final stages of expansion, these supervoids will completely take over the observable universe. The last remaining galaxy clusters will be isolated and crushed at the margins, before being entirely consumed by the expanding bubbles of nothingness. Dark energy will eventually claim a total victory, leaving behind a universe that is nothing more than a gigantic, inescapable void of silent blackness.